The executive hostage. Why Iran is prepared to drink from the chalice again. For months, the Persian Gulf has been locked in a high-stakes game of economic chicken. The collapse of the mid-June de-escalation memorandum plunged the Strait of Hormuz back into a naval chokehold, drawing down global oil inventories to historic lows and prompting the Trump administration to actively reevaluate plans for regime change. Yet as international mediators from Pakistan, Qatar, and Oman scramble to finalize a volatile 10-day temporary ceasefire framework, the real battle for the future of Iran is not being fought in diplomatic backrooms, but within the secure, blast-proof bunkers of the Islamic Republic itself. Facing simultaneous internal revolution and external military overthrow, the newly ascended supreme leader, Mojtaba Khameni, finds himself trapped in a geopolitical vice. To survive, the 56-year-old Shadow Prince is preparing to execute a classic tactical retreat, choosing his life over his pride, approving a diplomatic deal with the West while quietly surrendering actual control of the state to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The ghost of 1988, cracking the bow. Despite the hyper-aggressive public rhetoric broadcast by Iranian state media, which recently labeled Donald Trump's signature utterly worthless, history dictates that the Iranian regime operates under a definite doctrine. It will stubbornly resist external pressure until it believes the physical survival of the regime itself is at stake. When pushed to that absolute precipice, it drinks the poison. There are two powerful historical precedents guiding Tehran today. The 1988 Poison Chalice ceasefire. At the tail end of the Iran-Iraq War, Iran attempted to block international oil shipping in the Persian Gulf during the Tanker War. This prompted a direct clash with the U.S. Navy via Operating Praying Mantis, which decimated half of Iran's surface fleet in a single day. Facing a shattered economy and conventional annihilation, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini abruptly accepted a UN ceasefire, famously declaring on national radio that making peace with the West was more deadly than taking poison, but mandatory to save the state. The 2013 Heroic Flexibility Doctrine. When suffocating international banking and energy sanctions brought Iran's economy to its knees and triggered domestic uprisings, Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei introduced the concept of heroic flexibility. He explicitly signaled to his hardline base that a tactical retreat or negotiation with the West was acceptable if it preserved the broader Islamic State, directly paving the way for the 2015 nuclear deal. Heroic flexibility under a fragile dynasty. While the need for heroic flexibility is acute, the political foundation supporting the regime is far more fragile than in past crises. When Ali Khamenei ruled, he did so with unchallenged revolutionary and religious legitimacy built over nearly 37 years. Mojtaba Khameni enjoys no such luxury. Hurled into power after devastating airstrikes killed his father, Mojtaba lacks the foundational credentials of the old guard. He does not possess the high-ranking theological title of Marja, a grand Ayatollah, and his sudden ascension has been widely condemned by the Iranian public as an illegitimate hereditary monarchy, the exact system the 1979 revolution was fought to eradicate. Worse still, Mojtaba's physical posture has broadcast extreme vulnerability. Since taking office, he has completely vanished from public view, operating entirely from deep underground bunkers to escape Western precision strikes. Rumor mills regarding his public absence during recent airstrikes have severely damaged domestic morale. A leader perceived by his own population as hiding cannot easily rally a collapsing nation to endure an open-ended war. To protect his fragile new dynasty from an economic collapse that could trigger an internal revolution, Mojtaba desperately needs an exit ramp. Isolated by allies and the paradox of the shadow coup. Perhaps the strongest indicator that Tehran will cut a deal is its unprecedented regional and international isolation. The trapped oil glut has severely angered Iran's most vital lifelines. China, which buys 3/4 of Iran's oil, is suffering from war-induced factory inflation and has deployed a special envoy to force Tehran back to the table. Simultaneously, Pakistan, Qatar, and Oman have made it clear they will not allow their own economies to burn to finance an open-ended war in the Strait. However, Mojtaba faces a secondary lethal threat if he signs a deal, a palace coup by his own military. Civilian pragmatists, led by President Masoud Pezeshkian and Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf are aggressively pushing for a truce to rescue the economy. In response, IRGC military hardliners have taken to the streets, shouting "death to the compromiser" and accusing wartime diplomats of staging a soft coup against revolutionary ideals. Because Mojtaba has zero independent public support, he relies entirely on the IRGC to police the streets and keep him alive. To navigate this no-win scenario, the IRGC and Mojtaba are converging on a preferred quiet institutional coup. Borrowing from historical Turkish or Egyptian models, the military prefers to exercise absolute veto power from the background while leaving a religious figurehead on stage to absorb public blame. The IRGC, which has evolved into a multi-billion-dollar corporate mafia controlling over 30% of Iran's domestic economy, does not want to dethrone Mojtaba. They want to keep him exactly where he is, a toothless figurehead whose religious title provides a veneer of divine legitimacy to mask their corporate empire. The tactical retreat, what each actor will do. As an Islamabad negotiation reaches a critical juncture, the high-stakes power politics will likely translate into coordinated multi-front survival strategy. Anticipated strategy and next steps. Mojtaba Khameni will formally approve the 10-day temporary ceasefire proposal to stop American bombs, allow trapped oil to flow, and ease internal inflation. He will remain in underground bunkers issuing fiery written anti-Western decrees to preserve evolutionary face while quietly operating as an executive hostage to his generals. The IRGC will tolerate the truce to protect their lucrative oil refineries and ports from destruction. They will formalize their de facto military council, stripping Mojtaba of his commander-in-chief duties, imposing permanent domestic martial law, and using the civilian presidency as a shield against public anger. The West. The Trump administration will likely accept short-term de-escalation to relieve the global energy squeeze and reopen shipping lanes. However, Western intelligence will pivot toward freezing the hidden international bank accounts and shell companies funding the IRGC's shadow empire. The vice has simply grown too tight. Faced with an unyielding external blockade, crumbling domestic infrastructure, and abandonment by its closest allies, Tehran is preparing a tactical retreat. Mojtaba Khameni will retain his throne and the IRGC will retain its profits. But the absolute autocratic power of the supreme leader is dead, buried quietly in the shadows of the Persian Gulf.